Hello, just an alcoholic. Thank you for asking me to speak. It's always a pleasure to be able to show up and to participate in Alcoholics Anonymous. So I guess my purpose today is to share my experience, strength, and hope with you guys, and tell you how I have recovered from alcoholism. So to start with the basic stuff, my sobriety date is November 22nd, 2012. So I just celebrated 7.5 years sober by the grace. And I have a sponsor, Rick B. in the Nevada Fellowship. He's celebrating 38 years sober this year. I've worked through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous to the best of my ability, probably 4 times or something. And I do my best to practice these principles that you guys have taught me in all my affairs. So I currently live in San Rafael, here in Marin, and welcome to my living room. I was once in a treatment facility down in Redwood City, Sequoia Center, and I was there for 62 days, and I also went to the Kaiser CDRP program in San Francisco, and so I have had some extensive participation in rehab as well, so I can appreciate what everybody's going through. So I'll just start from the beginning, I guess. I remember having a nice childhood, right? It was, pretty uneventful, I would say, up until the age around 6. I remember having a brother, a baby sister, a mother, and a father. And when I grew up in Sonoma County, north of Marin, I have fond memories of one Easter. Our family got together. We did like a Easter egg hunt, right? Looking for the golden egg and having candy and lunch in the sunshine. And it was a really nice experience. And I enjoyed it. But at no time during that experience, being 6 years old, was I thinking about, am I going to be feeling this good tomorrow? Or am I going to run out of candy? Or any of these a monologue going on in my head, for lack of a better term. All of that came later. I was just being, because I didn't know any other way of doing life. So skipping forward a little bit, I remember being in 6th grade. I was in Mr. Carey's class, and I was rather uncomfortable in my own skin. We hear that a lot in the meetings. I didn't feel like I fit in, and I felt sort of a part of people my age. I didn't feel included a lot of the time, though I often was. That was my perception. That was the issue. I've come to learn. So one time in particular in 6th grade, I remember being super uncomfortable and like thinking that like people were gossiping about me, and I couldn't take it anymore. And I asked the teacher to go to the bathroom, and I walked outside, and I turned around, and as soon as the door closed, I put my ear to the door to listen to what everybody was talking about, because I was certain that they were all talking about me. So I equate that to the self-centeredness that we speak of in the basic text of Alcoholics Anonymous. That was an early onset of what I call the dis-ease of alcoholism. And it's probably not normal, to think everybody's thinking about you and talking about you behind your back all the time. I felt like there was a meeting before class, and everyone was participating in that meeting except for me. And I felt like they made arrangements as to what people were going to say and how the day was going to go, that I wasn't privy to, and that I was missing out on something that was going on and had a real trouble connecting. So fast forward a little bit to high school. My freshman year, I went to the first high school party. Still pretty uncomfortable in my own skin, but there was this big party. Everybody from the school was going to be there, and I went there, and I was really uncomfortable. and I sat in like a van while everybody else went out and was drinking beer and doing things you do at like an outdoor campfire sort of party where there's hundreds of people. And someone came up to the van, and I pretended like I didn't see them. I was playing on my phone, which was like a very old Snake game or something, many years ago. And they offered me a beer, and I was like, oh, sure. And I took that beer, and I drank it. And about 5 minutes or so later, I started feeling pretty good. And I got out of the van, and I went and I smoked some pot, and I did some social things, and I started feeling okay. I was like, okay, like maybe this party isn't so bad after all. I felt like I got a little buffer, and my acne fell off, and I felt like I could communicate with other human beings, like I was an earthling again. And I wasn't so preoccupied with like what people thought about me. I was just being who I thought I was. And this sensation came over to me after about 6 or 7 beers. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. Like, everyone is my best friend. Like, I'm going to do this shit again for sure. I am, like, how come nobody told me about this? This is awesome. I feel like at ease, and I have some peace. And I feel like I fit in, That's all I was looking for. And so, I lost consciousness later that evening due to the drinking. And I ended up urinating in back of my friend's car. And the next day, when he picked me up to go to high school, he told me about it before I got in the car, and I was like, I don't believe you. You're just making that up. Like, that didn't really happen. And I was really embarrassed about it, that it could have actually happened, and I didn't remember. And I got in the car, and sure enough, there was this faint odor of urine. And there was just a sinking sensation in my stomach, and I was like, oh my God, like I really did do that. Like, so embarrassed, so shameful. Again, this extreme feeling of a part of from like one of my best friends. And I felt like I let everybody down, and I felt like I was a bad person, I was like, what's wrong with me? How come I did this to my friend? But at no time did I make the connection between drinking excessively and doing bad behavior. So that sort of gives you a snapshot of how I got started. Fast forward a little bit, drinking increased. When I was 15 and a half in high school, my brother actually passed away, my older brother, Eric. It was drug and alcohol related. He died at 23 years old. And it was really hard to go through. As a 15 and a half year old boy who was already uncomfortable in his own skin, I did not know how to deal with those feelings. I did not know how to respond to the world having such a deficit that I felt. And my response was to drink and to use drugs alcoholically all the harder to escape. I sort of went into a depression sort of thing, started wearing my hood around, started hanging out with lower companions, and seeking out more marijuana, more alcohol, more of an escape. And things went on in this fashion, and at the beginning it was a lot of fun. Alcohol was definitely a solution for a period of time in my life, and then I started getting some consequences. I got suspended for school from 5 days for having some marijuana on me, and I thought it was the principal's problem because he was an asshole. I was not looking at my behavior. And I continued to get very spiritually sick. Things got worse, and then they got worse. Wrecked a car and blamed the road for that. I didn't think it was my fault. I didn't think that I was drinking too much when driving. By the grace, no one was injured in that incident, but it wasn't the last time that happened. By the time I got to college, so I didn't graduate high school with my friends. I didn't walk on the stage because I had turned 18 when I was in high school, so I could write my own doctor's notes and sick notes. So I took advantage of that very much, and it got to the point where the administration decided that was not allowable for me, and I ended up being 1 credit short, and so I didn't get to graduate with my high school. I later made up that credit once in recovery, but so that was definitely in connection with like using and drinking and not having the motivation and not seeing the payoff in investing in my education, in myself, and loving myself in that way. I'd start to had some hangovers from alcohol that were pretty bad. By the time I got to college, I was drinking every day, pretty much at least 6 days a week to excess. Started blacking out, losing consciousness, at least once a week. I incorporated some other prescription narcotics, which I took alcoholically. I thought that everything was great. I thought that I was managing the situation well. And in the event that I did do something that was injurious to myself or to another person, that it was just this time, I just need to take like less of these pain pills with this vodka. That was the problem. I need to take more of this other pill with this other alcohol. That was my form of managing my life, better living through chemistry. It was failing. I ended up failing out almost a whole semester from junior college, and didn't really have much to show for it. So I just dropped out of school. I started working, and then things really took off. There was other forms of drugs at this workplace I was working, and I started hanging out with those people. And I got to the point where I had been drinking for like 7 days in a row after work, and then we started drinking at work, and I was sick of it. I was like, what, I feel terrible, like I don't want to do this today, I'm not going to drink. And I didn't tell anybody, I just logged it in my head, and I was like, okay, I don't feel good, I'm just not going to drink today. So I get to work, and we do our thing, and it's like 9 o'clock, we're about to close the store, and someone hands me a beer, and without thinking about it, I just grabbed the beer and pounded it. And then a couple minutes later, I was like, damn, I told myself I wasn't going to do that, and I wonder why I did that, and didn't think too much of it, and carried on, and then this sort of experience continued, and continued quite often. And by the age of about 22 years old, I had a full-fledged dope habit. Things got worse and worse. I got kicked out of my house. I was couch surfing, essentially, depending on the kindness of my dope connects and my friends, to let me sleep on their couch. I was drinking every day, smoking pot, doing other drugs, and I had lost control. And there was times that I didn't want to drink and use that I did, and I didn't know how to stop. And the things I was doing, the behavior I was exerting, I didn't understand. I thought that I was a psychopath. I thought, God, how come I got totally shit drunk at my mom's 50th birthday party and got up on stage at this concert and ruined the concert for everybody, and then somehow drove my car home and hit something. I don't know what I hit. I still don't know what I hit to this day, and took the bumper off. How come I'm doing this? I don't understand. How come I can't show up to my sister's birthday and participate? How come I always need to feel different? I started to sink in that to my innermost self that there was issues going on, and that they were actually regarding my drug and alcohol use. I got a nudge from the judge. I got sentenced to AA once or twice, and showed up and went to the meetings drunk, and talked a bunch of BS, and oh yeah, I think I got this, and blah blah blah, and didn't listen to anything that they had to say. So fast forwarding to sort of one of my last drunks, was I was like I said, homeless, and I was living sometimes in this barn shed in my mom's backyard, which she didn't know about. There was a cot in there, no power, no running water, no bathroom. If I wanted to go to the bathroom, I had to dig a hole outside to use it. And that was where drugs and alcohol took me. I wasn't employable. I lost every job, stolen from the till, you name it, I probably did it. And things were becoming really hopeless. Worse than probably any of those outside problems that I had was this internal thing inside of me, that from the moment that I came to in the morning, to the moment that I passed out later in that day. There was this thing inside of me that was like, you are not okay. You are not okay. And it was my main priority to go and be okay. And that looked like drinking a whole lot and finding some drugs. And in the end, I was a straight up dope fiend as well. And the reason I say this with honesty is that, maybe you guys can relate. Maybe you guys have been there. Maybe you used when you didn't want to use. Maybe you found it difficult to stop. And so essentially I was on a 4-day bender at this point. I crashed all my cars, totaled them, had a 5150 one time, had been to jail in the drunk tank on 3 different occasions, and couldn't hold down a job. I was stealing things to pay for my habit and to drink every day. I was going nowhere. And people were telling me they didn't want to see me anymore. In my hometown, people would go to the other side of the street so they wouldn't have to deal with me, or I'd hear, "Hey, F you," from across the street, and I would have no idea why. So things were not going well. I was on, like I said, a 4-day bender, which I remember very little of, and I went into a laundromat where I did my laundry regularly, and did my laundry there, and the machine wasn't working, and I used my pocket knife to open up the lint drawer in the bottom, and the quarters were in there. So I took the quarters out and I did my laundry for free, and I spent $19.25 of someone else's money to do my laundry, and completely forgot about the whole thing. Well, a couple of days later, the Sebastopol Police Department came and talked to me, and they asked me if I had anything to do with it, and of course I denied it. And I got arrested on felony burglary because they said I went in there with the intent of robbing the place, and that was where the miracle started to happen for me. I got put in the NCDC up in Sonoma County in the infirmary unit, and they detoxed me without any drugs, and it was very painful. And I had basically a psychotic break inside there. And I remember being hot, being cold, puking, having diarrhea. It was terrible. It was really, really bad. And I tried to escape from the place. I took some caulking from around the window and I put it in the door, and they noticed right away, and they frowned upon that. And they put me in ADSEG, which is administrative segregation, solitary confinement. And they sort of roughed me up a little bit and yelled at me and said they were going to file another charge against me unless I did everything that they said. So from this point forward, when I left that cell, I had to have 2 guards in shackles and chains for this $19.25 in quarters. So as you can see from my story, this isn't healthy behavior. This isn't rational behavior. I was very sick. And so I went to felony court, and I called up a lawyer who agreed to represent me for a little while and got things reduced down to a misdemeanor. And then another lawyer who actually I recognized in the courtroom came over to me, and he offered to represent me for free, which is a miracle. And of course I had so much pride. I said, "Oh, no, thank you, but I don't need your help. I can't afford that." And he went and he talked to the judge anyway. And he pulled me out I got released after 10 days, and he pulled me out into the hallway, and he told me what's really going on. And I started getting honest for the first time. And I said, "Look, I've been taking these pills and I can't stop, and I've been losing consciousness and I don't know why, and I have all of these disorders and I can't understand what's going on and I can't stop. And I think that's part of why I did this thing at the laundromat." He said, "Okay," and he went in front of the judge, in front of the courtroom, and told everybody what I had just told him. And that opened me up for the ability to avoid some jail time and go to an inpatient facility, Sequoia Center. So I was in Sebastopol living in this shed. I remember getting on my knees, hands and knees, and praying to a God I didn't believe in. And I said, "Look, get me out of this one. I swear to God, I'll never use again. I'll do whatever you want me to. Just make this go away." And then there I was, 4 days later, waiting to go to an outpatient rehab, and I was high again. I hadn't drank, but used drugs, and I didn't understand what was going on, and I started experiencing what I now know is powerlessness. So I commuted from Sebastopol up in Sonoma County to San Francisco, taking 4 buses a day while detoxing from multiple substances, and did their outpatient program for 14 days before I got a bed at this place down in Redwood City. Stayed there for 62 days and started drying out a little bit. Post-acute withdrawals were really bad for me, probably lasted like 6 weeks, if not more. Yeah, that was sort of what it was like. I got introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous through the rehab, and that's really sort of when things started to get a little bit lighter for me. I went to some meetings. I didn't really understand what's going on. You know, they read this thing called How It Works out of Chapter 5 of the Big Book, and I don't think I heard it for the first 6 months, you know. I had all these thoughts in my head that were racing, and I had all these outside concerns about like what was going to happen in my life. You know, now that I was like sober for like 2 months or whatever when I got out of rehab, I was worried about my IRS taxes, and I was worried about these dental bill collections I had, and I had all these worries. But the people in Alcoholics Anonymous told me that if I stayed sober one day at a time and I worked the steps with a sponsor and I tried to help other people and desperately sought for a power greater than myself that could keep me sober, everything would get worked out. And it turns out they were right. What do you know? So from the rehab, I went to this place called Marin Services for Men, and that's a sober living environment. I'm going to turn on the light here. Sorry, it's getting dark. Marin Services for Men, which is an SLE, sober living environment here in Marin, and I lived there for 2 years, and I started working the steps with a sponsor. Unfortunately, I didn't stay sober that whole time. After about 30 days or so, it was right around Thanksgiving, and I went to a place that didn't have cell reception, and didn't have a really strong relationship with a higher power at that point in time. I wasn't really working the steps very well, and I was super uncomfortable being in this setting where I had drank and used for many, many years on Thanksgiving before. And I grabbed a bottle of wine and I took as big a chug of it as I could, and I walked out like nothing happened, and it did nothing. I didn't feel any different, and I was like, damn, this shit doesn't even work anymore. And up until that point in time, just before I got sober, excuse me, I was getting sick of life. I mean, I didn't want to kill myself, but the way that things were going, it would have been easier if I just didn't wake up a lot of times. And I had a lot of pain and suffering and remorse. So I started working the steps with a sponsor. And things started getting different, you know. They got a little bit uncomfortable. And, he asked me, like, have you admitted to your innermost self that you're an alcoholic? And I didn't know exactly what that meant. And then he asked me, are you powerless over alcohol and drugs? And I said, I don't think so. Like, they seem to be doing some damage in my life, but, like, I don't think I'm powerless over it. And we talked about it, and we read the book together. And he shared some of his experience. And I heard what he said, and he told me about how he was powerless over alcohol and how he had this experience when, he was totally drunk one time, and suddenly he was sober. And seemingly out of the blue, and what set in was all the pain, and he saw his life for what it was in shambles, and the drink quit working, and he couldn't make that go away, and he couldn't shut off the voices anymore. And I was like, damn, how'd you know about that? Like, that's what happened to me. And I related with the guy, and I was like, okay, like, this guy's been sober. I don't really believe that he's been sober for like 3 years, but like, maybe, if it's working for him, maybe it could work for me. And I let go of a little bit of that terminal uniqueness. I thought the things that I had done, I was so stained, the things I had done, the things I missed, the things I should have participated in, all of that. I didn't think that this would work for me. I thought I was different. But luckily, through working inventory in the 4th and 5th step, I got an opportunity to look at my part in things and to see how I had a hand in all the things that seemed to be an issue in my life, and how my attitude towards the world had a lot of determination on what my behavior was. And that I could be a participating member of society trying to live up to my highest goals for myself, or I could continue and probably die an alcoholic death pretty quickly. When you're taking over 300 milligrams of morphine each day, you're sort of walking the line. That's where I was. But thank God things aren't like that anymore. Working through the steps really helped me. It changed my thought life. In AA we talk about our thought life, as it says on page. It talks about on page 87 of our basic text in the On Awakening section. It says our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives, and that's something I read every day now. So, like for example, today I woke up. I said some prayers with my eyes closed, and I got out of bed. I came downstairs, I started the coffee, and I opened the basic text of AA, and I read the On Awakening section. I got on my knees, and I prayed to a God that I do believe in, that I generally refer to as Jah, and asked him to keep me sober for today. That was what you guys taught me to do, is to reach out to something greater than myself that can do for me what I cannot do for myself. And it works. It really does. I did some meditation for about 25 minutes, and then I hopped on the New Nuano Club meeting on Zoom. And I shared, and I'm a co-host on there, sort of like a commitment. And then after that, I ate some lunch, and I went and met up with a sponsee in the park 6 feet away, and we worked on his 9-step amends for about 2 hours. And during the time I spent with him in the park, I didn't have any of these preoccupied thoughts about myself. I wasn't thinking what I could get out of the situation. I wasn't thinking about, am I going to be feeling this good tomorrow or later on today? I was. I was in that state that I was as a child, where I didn't have this inner dialogue, this preoccupation going on. Like, as it says in our book, I comprehend the word serenity, and I knew peace. And that goes a lot further. I never knew that that's all I was looking for. So today, I'm sober. I work the program of Alcoholics Anonymous to the best of my ability. I try and help people through the amends process. It's been really, I got like 1 minute or something. Through the amends process, I've rekindled connections. I've made my part in things, and have really good relationships with my dad and my mom today, with other people. It might, when I'm sharing like this, it may come across as like these are things that I have done, and yay for me, but that's just not the case. There is powers greater than myself that are working in my life today. And the process sure is difficult. I wouldn't say it's easy, but AA has taught me a means for living on a spiritual basis. And the more that I seek this power greater than myself, the better my life seems to go. So I think I've been talking a lot. I think that's good. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Justin. He's muted. I'm not muted. Okay. I'm Missy. An alcoholic and an addict. And thank you for your share. I also grew up in Sebastopol, so I know how that goes. The apple orchard parties and all that good stuff. So, but do appreciate your time today. And I don't know, what time is it next?
7:45.
So I don't know if you want to pick a topic for us to talk on, or if we just want to, anybody that wants to share with you, then we can just open it up.
Yeah, I like the topic of honesty. What areas have you not been honest with that you need to be honest with, or whatever you want to talk about.
That's a good one. Yeah, I've come to, this is like my day 52 here, and I sure opened up to honesty myself. Sorry, there's some, but being in treatment and talking and having the peers and having the awesome staff here will certainly help me to be honest with myself and with other people. So I think it's a great topic. So thank you again. And Hill House, do you guys want to, does somebody want to share up there?
Sure, I'll share. I'm sure you share like we saw the AA share. I appreciate that. I guess when I'm getting, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so, yeah, I'm just, I'm kind of getting just honest with myself through the process of like going through these groups and these, doing this step work. And, I've been in AA for a long time, and, now I've relapsed like several times over the last 8 years. And it's like just really, committing myself to the work again, like and reading the material, going through the book. And, because I think part of me thinks, gosh, I've done it already. I know what it says, but, apparently I need a little refresher. And so I'm kind of enjoying that. I'm enjoying the groups, and I'm just enjoying the process of trying to get real with myself. And maybe that's just, it took time to come here to slow me down, because, it's going pretty fast, furious. Especially after you go fast and furious, there's not much time for self-reflection. So I've enjoyed that here. And so, yeah, I hope to stay clean and sober. And thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead. You want to share?
Honest.
The topic's honest.
I'll share really quick. So my name's Ryan. I'm an addict.
Hey, Ryan.
So on the subject of honesty, yeah. Well, first of all, I also really love your share. Very good. Yeah. I empathized or sympathized with it a whole lot. And because on the subject of honesty, looking back, I always thought I was being honest with myself when I was using, that I was just using to unwind at the end of the day and stuff like that I didn't have a problem, that this is normal and stuff like that. But those were basically, looking back now with a sober mind, those were all half-truths or lies. Like, from the very beginning, the first time that I ever used or smoked, it was never just to unwind. It was more than that. It was to cover up all of the bad things that I couldn't deal with or didn't want to deal with, things that I didn't know how to deal with either. And yeah, just being in a place like this and learning about sobriety and AA and all that, it puts me into perspective on how honest I need to be with myself in order to live a happy life, and how unhappy I was towards the very end, how much it wasn't helping. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wes, Addict.
Hey, Wes.
So I think about honesty, I find myself to be, I used to think it was justification.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe to my channel for more videos, especially if you're interested in cooking. Cheers.
Or specifically my girlfriend. Oh, yeah.